Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
Robbed at gunpoint on the way to school. 2 Detroit teenagers lose more than just their phones in a terrifying encounter.
And the feds say he used the Union bank account like his own personal ATM. A former UAW treasurer stands accused of bilking the union out of millions of dollars.
A major break in a horrifying case as Dearborn police say they have arrested a person of interest in the hit-and-run crash that killed a 6-year-old girl. All coming up. We're going to begin with the video from Sky 4 over the I-696 service drive near Groesbeck in Warren, and that's where a Warren police officer has been involved in a crash.
The officer was on duty on a motorcycle when that crash happened. He's been taken to St. John Hospital, but as of right now, there's no word on his condition. We do have a crew there on the ground gathering the very latest as we speak, and we'll get that information to you as soon as it comes in.
Now, also breaking at this 5 o'clock hour, a judge has signed off on final approval of the more than $626 million settlement in the Flint water crisis. About 80% of it, we're told, will go to individuals who were minors when first exposed to the contaminated water. That includes 65% or so for kids 6 years of age and younger. Attorneys say the distribution process will likely begin within 45 days, perhaps a little sooner, but a separate order on the attorneys' requests for their fees, which have been a point of contention in this case, that will be issued by the judge.
Our other top story tonight, an arrest is made in that deadly hit and run that killed a child in Dearborn. This comes less than 24 hours after police released a photo of the man they were looking for.
6-year-old Batul Haider was hit Sunday afternoon and died a short time later from her injuries. Sean Lay live with us tonight. And Sean, a doorbell camera, I guess, caught the speeding car just moments before this happened.
And that is added to the emotion. What an emotional day as you can imagine out here. I want to show you Batul's picture again. Such a beautiful 6-year-old girl, so many sisters and parents, and Batul was here Sunday, a beautiful day, running across the street to get a ball, right where the memorial is for her now. She was hit. The driver kept going. There was an intense 4-day search for him that ended today. It is a hit and run that has taken the life of this precious 6-year-old girl. Her name, Batul Haider Afadawi, and has stunned this community. Tonight, we know more about what happened Sunday afternoon. Batul was playing with her sisters and cousins at her grandmother's home here on Bingham Street in Dearborn. A ball rolled out into the street. The girl went and got it, looked up, and was hit by a person speeding in an SUV. That driver did not stop this afternoon. The 18-year-old person of interest in the hit and run turned himself into Dearborn police. The SUV involved found on the same street just up the block at a person's home related to the 18-year-old person of interest. The preventable death of this little girl has outraged this community.
This is a tragedy for everyone, every single person that heard about the story, that has kids, that has family, that lives in Dearborn or anywhere else in our state.
Attorney Majid Mogni says there are now calls for harsher penalties for reckless hit-and-run drivers.
This careless driving, this reckless driving, killing 6-year-olds who did nothing, absolutely nothing wrong, but decide to play outdoors.
The little girl's family is still in shock. Back here live and at 6 o'clock. Batul's mother and father speaking with us today. They wanted to speak with us not just to share how awful and tragic this is for their big family, but also to talk to parents and drivers, saying drivers just fly around here. We've been seeing it all day, and they want people to slow down. They've got an important message coming up at 6, guys.
All right, Sean, we'll talk to you then. Brand new here at 5, the state legislature is asking a federal appeals court to block President Biden's vaccine or test mandate.
We do want to get to Jason Colthorpe live in the newsroom. Jason, this isn't a lawsuit, right?
Correct. It's a brief in support of a lawsuit filed by other states. This brief was filed in the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Quote, "One man's impatience is not a nation's emergency," reads the opening line of this brief. The legislature is joining the movement by attorneys general in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio to stop President Biden's mandate that companies with more than 100 employees must require them to be vaccinated or tested weekly. The brief argues the mandate is not necessary to address occupational exposure to COVID-19, but rather to force vaccination on as many Americans as possible. The administration argues it's taking emergency action to contain the virus and protect people. Now, the Detroit News, which first posted news of the brief, reports the Senate also passed a resolution along party lines that labeled the federal policy an egregious overreach, which stunned some Democrats that this is what the Senate was focused on today. Karen, Devin, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jason. It was money supposed to be used for things like job training, helping members, but the feds say the former treasurer at UAW Local 412 over in Warren took millions from union coffers.
They claim Tim Edmonds spent millions on himself to live a lavish lifestyle and become a casino regular. Our business editor, Rob Maloney, has a look at the charges he's facing and how the feds say he pulled it off.
You have a bank account, a checking account. You can go to the ATM with your card, pop your card into the slot here, and get money out. But if you're a union official, you also have a card like this for the company account or the union account. And the feds are saying that's precisely what this guy did, in that they say he took about $2 million. 53-year-old Timothy Edmonds of South Lyon served as UAW Local 412 treasurer from 2011 to 2021. The local is located in Warren and serves Stellantis plants. He's charged with theft or embezzlement of union funds, failing to maintain required union records, money laundering, filing false financial reports, and making false entries into union books. The feds claim that he used the union cash to become a high roller in every sense of the word. Here he is in Greektown Casino with a smile as big as the cash he flashed. The criminal complaint says he also purchased $250,000 in high-end SUVs. He's alleged to have bought at least 10 firearms, went on shopping sprees from Louis Vuitton to Target to Walmart, and also paid some of his child support. The complaint shows checks he allegedly used and tells of $1.5 million in bank transfers, nearly $1 million in American Express e-checks, $250,000 in cashier checks, and $350,000 in checks made payable to himself. The UAW in a statement today said, quote, under the UAW's enhanced auditing process, UAW international auditors discovered improper personal expenditures by the UAW Local 412 financial secretary. While we are outraged that dues were embezzled, we are encouraged that the UAW auditors themselves discovered and reported this misuse of union dues, end quote. Now, a read of the complaint also shows that there was a high skill level here because he was able to defeat a number of audits within the union in previous years. But the feds are quick to say that the local officials there, other than this guy, did not know about the embezzlement. Back to you.
What do we know about that part of the investigation, Ron?
Well, as I understand it, what happened here is that, like, for instance, Edmonds, the feds say, took out a number of checks and did them with vouchers, and they had the union local president's other signature on it.
Yeah.
But the feds came in, did a handwriting analysis, and showed that while a good forgery, it was still a forgery, and that the president didn't know anything about this whatsoever.
Wow. All right, Rod. Other news tonight. Police on Detroit's east side are looking for two people who robbed two teenagers at gunpoint while they were walking to school this morning.
This happened right around 8 this morning near Hayes and Manning, not too far from 7 Mile. Our Larry Spruill was in the area today as police investigated.
Unfortunately, around 8:15 this morning, two young people were walking to school when a red Ford Fusion, older model, pulled up. Two suspects were inside. One of the suspects jumped out with what appeared to be described as a gun with a dark cloth over it.
Detroit Police Second Deputy Chief Rudy Harper says that's when that suspect pointed the gun at the two kids, ages 12 and 15, demanding they hand over their cell phones and coats.
It's just really hard to imagine that our young people in the community are walking to school and they get stopped and become victims of a crime.
Harper tells me this all happened near the area of Hayes and Manning on Detroit's east side. Detroit police said the two suspects are in their 20s. One of them
has a full beard and braces and was wearing a black Nike coat. The second suspect had a goatee and was wearing a black hoodie, black jogger pants, and black Timberland boots. I can tell you, Larry, that our officers are canvassing the area. We hate to hear these type of stories. It shocks us, and we're going to do everything we can to get these people off the streets.
And so once again, they want everyone to remember, if you were in that area at the time of that armed robbery this morning, or if you heard anything about it. Also, if you happen to see that older model of that red Ford Fusion, to give police a call. We're live at police headquarters tonight. Larry Spruill, Local 4.
Okay, Larry, the new coronavirus totals are out today, but there is a wrinkle. The state is telling us a processing delay is underestimating the number of new cases since Monday as we arrive at Wednesday. So as it stands right now, 6,283 new cases over the past 2 days, averaging out to 3,100 cases per day. We'll watch for changes, but 163 more deaths are also being reported. That includes 88 that come from a review of vital records.
It was just 1 week ago that children ages 5 to 11 became eligible to receive the Pfizer vaccine.
Perhaps you've noticed, though, on your Facebook feed, a lot of parents have already taken their kids for that first shot. We bring in Dr. Frank George here with the brand new numbers on this rollout. Doc?
Yeah, Karen and Devin. So, the White House COVID response team estimates nearly 1 million children will have received their first dose by the end of today. That is an impressive number considering the federal portion of the program really just launched on Monday. But at today's briefing, the team emphasized this is really just the start.
By the end of the day today, we estimate that over 900,000 kids ages 5 through 11 will have already gotten their first shot.
That number is expected to rise quickly.
Through pharmacies alone, 700,000 additional appointments are already on the calendar at local pharmacies.
The CDC director acknowledged many parents still have questions, but emphasized vaccines for this age group will help keep more children in school.
For this past year and a half, many children have felt the effects of school closures, outbreaks among students and school staff, and ultimately changes in their normal school environment due to COVID-19.
With regard to adults, the team reported significant progress in closing the racial and ethnic gaps in vaccination rates.
The most recent Kaiser Family Foundation survey showed that 73% of Black adults, 72% of white adults, and 70% of Hispanic adults had gotten at least their first shot by mid-October.
And while vaccine mandates remain contentious, the COVID team says they're working.
Vaccination requirements have helped reduce the number of unvaccinated Americans ages 12 and older by almost 40%, from about 100 million in late July to under 60 million now.
The biggest disruption of the workplace is when people get COVID. It's for that reason why it's so important to get the workers as well as everybody else vaccinated.
Now, we also learned that over 25 million Americans have now received a booster shot, and that includes close to half of those aged 65 and over who received the Pfizer vaccine. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Doc. We are just getting started on a very busy Wednesday. Here's Sandra Ali.
It's destroyed every one of us.
A local mom with 2 young children gunned down at work on what was supposed to be her day off.
Who is this mysterious man captured on security cameras that day? And why have police been unable to track him down?
Tracking down who killed Chelsea Small, why her family fears the case may never be solved. The story coming up at 5.
And we told you last week to expect big changes by the end of this week, and they are almost here. Tomorrow we have not one, we actually have 2 fronts coming through. You're going to be talking about the weather through the weekend, and I'll have a step-by-step analysis of what to expect coming up straight ahead.
Today is the very first day you can walk into a Secretary of State like this one and get a non-binary gender marker on your driver's license or ID. Coming up tonight, we tell you who that impacts.
All right, Megan, before we go to break, we've got breaking news coming in from Detroit Sky 4 with a live look at a police investigation on the freeway. This is the southbound I-75 ramp to I-94. It is closed right now as state troopers are canvassing the area. We've seen a K-9 unit there as well. They're looking for evidence after state police say they received a call about a possible shooting. Again, keep this in mind if you're about to head out on your afternoon drive, but we'll keep an eye on it and keep you advised.